Can I start now? Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. During the declared emergency, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and in-person attendance limitations. My name is Isaac Loluz, and I will be chairing the hearing. Panel members participating today via WebEx and can be seen and heard are Ms. Satarodi, Ms. Sankar, Mr. Bartolo, and Mr. Klassen. City staff will be assisting us throughout the meeting, including moderating the WebEx platform. And today with us we have Mr. Simon Lan, who is the senior planner. Dan Antonacci, who is the Deputy Secretary Treasurer, he's online there, and Adam Wills and Amir Nissan. Participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentation to the committee using the said WebEx. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on YouTube. These participants will be connecting either by their computer, a phone, tablet, app, or by telephone. All participants will automatically be muted upon entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video. Any registered speaker will be participating by audio only. We ask that you also mute your devices until you're called on to speak. For those waiting online to speak, please make sure you call with the same telephone number you originally registered with. If you call by a different number, you will not be able to speak on the item. For land acknowledgement, we acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Section 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw, permission to extend or alter legal non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. Anyone in attendance today who wants to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must submit a written request by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address, because Committee of Adjustment and the T-Lab will be sending their notifications and appeal instructions by email only. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, decisions may be appealed to the Toronto local appeal body known as T-Lab, or in some limited circumstances, to a new tribunal called Ontario Land Tribunal, which is OLT. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. As far as the hearing today, I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant will proceed with their presentation if required. The committee may ask questions or take the matter directly for decision. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when the 5-minute mark is reached. Each speaker, including the applicant, when addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposal at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised, to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to receive a notice are informed of the changes. Then individuals either in support or in opposition to the application, will be invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker at the end of their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant agent has the chance to address only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion, and the application will be taken to committee for decision. Now, for before we proceed, we have there is no minutes to adopt today, and we have only the for this morning only members or staff any conflict of interest to declare. No. Okay, so we're going to start with the we have a request for to withdraw applications, and we have an application number 18. Application 18, which is 543 Davisville Avenue. And I don't know if the agent is Nafise Zandiabadi. Are you there? Again, the agent for application number 18, which is 543 Davisville. Nafise Zandiabani, are you there? Okay, so he's not here, but there is...
Mr. Chair, just as a note, they are present and on the call. They are unmuted at this time. The agent is present on the call present. And they are unmuted.
Okay, Mr. Zandiabadi, can you please identify yourself? Nafise Zandiabadi, can you please identify yourself? Are you there? Now, there is the owner there who's Amir Termadi. Maybe he's there?
Mr. Chair, the owner is not present on the call.
No. Okay. Mr. Zandiabadi, are you still there? So we just move on because we have a request for deferral. Okay.
Not deferral, withdrawal, Mr. Chair.
Sorry?
Withdrawal, Mr. Chair, not deferral.
Yeah, it's a withdrawal. Yeah. Oh, I said deferral. Sorry. Okay, so we have here Anne-Marie Favot. She's an area resident. Are you there? Anne-Marie Favot?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so I don't know if you heard, this application is being withdrawn. That means we're not going to discuss it. They don't want to go ahead with it. So we're closing the file.
Okay.
We're closing the file on this. Okay?
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alexander Petrovic.
I'm here.
Okay, so you heard this application is not going to be heard. The agent is withdrawing the application, which means we're closing the file. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Last one is Laura Brockwell. Are you there?
Mr. Chair, members, Laura is not present on the call at this time.
Okay, thank you. All right, so members, we have a request to withdraw number 18, which is 543 Davisville Avenue. Can I have a motion to withdraw, please, to close the file? Ms. Sankar?
That's through you, Mr. Chair. I motion to withdraw the file.
Thank you. Second? To close the file. To close, yeah. And
To close.
Mr. Okay, Mr. Clarkson is second. All in favor? Okay, so the file 543 Davisville, which is number 18 on the thing, is now closed. Next is number 18, which is 543.
Number 19.
545.
Number 19, Mr. Chair.
19, yeah. Number 19, which is 545 Davisville Avenue. Again, the same agent, Nafise Zandiabadi.
Mr. Chair and members, the agent just left the call. I suspect they're actually trying to rejoin as we speak.
Okay, so you think he may be on?
He's not present on the call at this exact moment, but it's my speculation that they've left the call
Okay,
to
well,
rejoin the call.
we'll try to reach him again. Mr.
Mr. Chair, he's not on the call at this
He's
time.
not. Okay, so we'll go. We have a number of speakers here. Anne-Marie Favot, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I don't know if you heard what's happening here. The agent is closing the file, withdrawing the file, and we're closing it. It's not going to be discussed. Okay?
Okay.
They're not going
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, they're not going ahead with the application. And Alexander Petrovic, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so you heard what's happening, or you want me to repeat it? The file
Okay.
the file is being closed because the agent withdrawing it. Okay?
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Brockwell.
Mr. Chair and members, there is no Laura on the call.
Thank you. Gordana Dozen or Vladimir Dozen. Are you there?
Mr. Chair and members, the Dozens are not present on the call at this time.
Okay. All right. So number 19, which is 545 Davisville members, there is there's a request to close the file. So can I have a motion to close the file, please?
Mr. Chair, can I just check, is the agent back online?
Yeah, he said
Mr.
no.
Chair and members, the agent is still not on the line.
No, he said no. Okay, so Ms. Sankar, did you have your
Yes,
motion?
through you, Mr. Chair. I'll make a motion to close this
Close the
file.
file. Thank you. Second. Mr. Bartolo, second. All in favor? Okay. Application number 19, which is 545 Davisville, is now closed. Closed. Now we have a number of deferrals here. The first one is number 12, which is 2-56 Cattle Crescent. And we have here on number 12, Mr. Christopher Hall. Are you there?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm here.
Okay, you're deferring the application. I read your letter, but we need you to state the reason for the deferral.
Yes, certainly. So this is one of 4 applications that we're going to be heard today, 12, 13, 14, and 15. They are part of a much larger redevelopment, which is the Lawrence Heights redevelopment project. Those 4 applications were part of a phase of 13
Mr. Hall.
Sorry.
Mr. Hall, we're going to go one by one because in the other ones we have people to speak. So we're dealing with number 12, which is
Certainly.
256. Okay.
Certainly. So this one application is essentially part of 27 different applications that are coming forward that are working through the process right now, the review process with the city. We've been in discussions with planning staff, and we're in agreement that it was felt that it was premature to have this application come forward now at this time, independently of the other applications, because it is a complex redevelopment site.
Okay.
So we're asking to defer this one.
Defer for changes. Okay. Members, there is no one registered beside the application, beside the applicant. So can I have a motion to defer for the reason you heard? Can I have a motion to defer, please? I have two hands at the same time. Mr. Klassen, please go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I move to defer this application and to provide the applicant with additional time.
And
Sunny Dye.
thank you, Sunny Dye. Second, Ms. Sankar, second. All in favor? Okay. All right. So application number 12, Mr. Hall, is being deferred. Okay, Sunny die. Now we'll go to the next
Thank you.
one. Next one, which is number 13. 13, and for this, you want to mention the reason, Mr. Hall, or is the same thing?
It is the same thing, Mr. Chair. This is tied to the larger redevelopment as well.
Okay, very good. Okay, for this one, we have, this is 68 Cattle Crescent. We have a speaker, Kevin Williams. Mr. Williams, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
Hello?
So, yeah, could you please state your name and address for us?
My surname is Williams, Whiskey India Lima Lima India Alpha Mike Sierra, and I'm at 169 Ranny. I actually have my neighbor here, right here.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Now,
He can speak as well.
sorry?
My neighbor is here as well, and he can speak. You'll be able to hear him.
Yes,
He's right here.
That's
my
okay.
name is Gordon.
That's okay. We have your
Um,
register here, and if you both want to hear it, it's fine. I don't know if you heard. There is a request to defer the application, so which means it's not going to be discussed today. So if we make a motion to approve the deferral, then it will not be discussed today, and if it comes then, you will get a notice when it's coming back. So you're okay with that?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
I'd like to
thank
get the notice. I found it was helpful to find out about the technical complications. It's not so easy you need more than 1 minute to sign in and do all these things and install the appropriate software.
yeah. So when it comes back, then we'll discuss it because it's not going to be discussed today if we defer it. So members, we have a request for deferral for number 13, which is 68 Cattle Crescent. Can I have a motion to defer, please? Ms. Sankar first. Please go ahead.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, to give the applicant an opportunity to work further on this file, I'll motion to defer this application, sine die.
Sine die. Thank you. Second. Mr. Bartolo, second. All in favor? Okay. Mr. Hall, your application number 13, which is 68 Cather, is also now deferred. Now, the next one is 78 Cather Crescent. This also, we have one resident to speak here. So,
Mr. Chair and members, as a note, the area resident is not on the call at this time.
He's not here. Thank
Correct.
you. Thank you. So, Mr. Hall, there is nobody else to speak, and the reason for deferral is the same one as before, right?
That is correct.
Okay. For number 14, 78 Cather, can I have a motion to defer, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, for the very reasons of the two applications before, I'll make a motion to defer this application, sine die.
Sine die, thank you. Second? Mr. Bartolo, second. All in favor? Okay. Mr. Hall, your application 1478 Cather is also deferred, sine die. Now, the last one is number 15, and number 15, which is 43 Varna Road Drive. We don't have anybody registered, just Mr. Christopher Hall, and Mr. Hall is the same reason. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so number 15, which is 43 Varna Drive, is also requested for deferral. Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Bartolo? Are you saying something, Mr. Bartolo? No. Okay. Mr. Bartolo is motion Sanida, yeah? Thank you. Second? Mr. Klassen, second. All in favor? Okay. Okay, Mr. Hall, your number 15, 43 Varna is also deferred, sine die. So check with the,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome. Now we have number 20. Mr. Moderator, number 20, 165 Tree Valley Drive is also requested for deferral. Is that correct?
According to my records, Mr. Chair, that is
Sorry?
correct. According to my records, that's what it shows right now.
It shows a deferral on that one, huh?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so item number 20, which is 165 Tree Valleys Drive, application number 20, and here we have Mr. Ozren Stanbok. Are you there?
Yes, Mr.
Oh, okay,
Chair, I'm
okay. We don't.
here.
Excuse me, sir. We don't hear a word. You're cutting.
I'm located at 1410 DuPont Street.
Mr. Stanback, we don't hear a word because you must be having some problem with your equipment. Could you please see where can you speak to the phone? See what your equipment having there. Don't leave it open, and tell us please what is the state your name and address for us.
Mr. Chair and members, Mr. Steinbach has just has been muted and I can't unmute him. So maybe we have him log out and log back in.
Okay.
Just to ensure that there's no connection problems.
So would you like, so what we do, maybe we stay.
Maybe we just throw it in the normal 20 spot and we'll just start at number 1 and work our way through it until we get to that item and then we'll hear it then.
Very good. Okay. All
Mr. Stanback, if you could log out of WebEx and log back in, just to ensure that connection is strong, we'll come back to you in a little bit.
Very good. Okay. In case he comes, you let him know, huh? Okay, so we're going to start with the agenda, and then we have number 1, which is 63 Johnston Avenue. And number 1 we have here Babak Haji Hassemi. Are you there?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, we have one more speaker here on this item, and therefore we may need some we need a presentation. So we're gonna treat it on block. You have the severance, and the staff condition is having conditions, which is the standard condition for the severance, and some conditions for the variances. So a late staff, I don't know if you saw the late staff report came in November 3rd, which lists heritage conditions. If you saw that one, so please cover the whole thing, and I'll start giving you your 5 minutes. See if you can cover it in 5 minutes.
Yes. My name is Babak Kasmi from Arc Lab Design Studio. The application before you is a consent to sever the property and propose to a single family detached dwelling on each newly created lots. We were originally scheduled to be heard on August 5th earlier this year. However, due to some objections and concerns from the planning department and the councillor, we asked to defer the application. We worked with the planning and addressed their concern in terms of our interior side yard setbacks. We improved that variance, and we're back today to present our proposals. In terms of the list of minor variances, again, we work very closely with planning. All the variances are very minor in nature, and there are precedents within this development. In terms of, I can go through some of the variances quickly. In terms of, we're asking for an interior side yard setback of 0.78 on part 1 as opposed to 0.9, which is again very minor. In terms of building length, we are only asking for 0.68 centimeter above what's permitted. In terms of sidewall height, as you can see on the planning report that is mentioned, our sidewall height is measured 9.01, but that's only due to the front facade and the front design of this house. It's a modern design. The sidewall height is reduced on the side. The planning recommended that will be tied to our elevations and site plan should you decide to approve this application, which we have no objection. In terms of lot coverage, we're only asking for 31.97%, which is again highly approved in the neighborhood. And we believe this proposal is a great redevelopment that respects the zoning that is input on this property and respects the nature and the character of the neighborhood. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. If there is any questions from the members, we'll bring you back because we have another speaker here. We have a speaker, Stéphane Sourdeau. Are you there? Stéphane Sourdeau. Do you know if Stéphane is there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay. Could you please state your name and address for us?
Yes, my name is Stéphane Sourdeau. I am at 59 Johnston Avenue, the next door neighbor on the east side.
Thank you. So please tell us what's your concern about this application. You heard the agent explaining the project, so please tell us.
Mr. Chair and committee members, I support this application. All 3 files that are associated with this address. I think it's a great development for our neighborhood. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. So, okay. So we won't question you on that. So Mr. Babak Assemi, could you come back, please?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Chair.
Okay, see if there's any questions for this gentleman. We have the severance and two applications. The only neighbor is supporting it, and Mr. Bartolo has his hand. Any question or motion? What would you like?
A quick question there, Mr. Chair, just relating to the heritage memorandum provided, and because it came very recently, has the applicant had a chance to review those comments and understand what's being asked for them there?
It seems like the report just came in yesterday, or maybe today even. We did not see this. Since this application was originally being heard on August 5th, this report never existed. I've worked in this block, Mr. Chair. This is not my first application in this very block. I've had other projects that we had heritage conditions on the approval. We will work with the city in case if there is any report or study they require as part of this approval. We will work with them if we can get a conditional approval today.
Any other question? If no question, can I have a motion, please? Mr. Bartolo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are we going to break this down into the severance and then the variances, or do you want it as one?
No, you can just ask one and say the conditions. There is conditions for this severance and ones for the variances.
Okay, so through you, Mr. Chair, I'll put forward a motion to approve this application for the consent to sever and for the minor variances, subject to the following conditions. That the recommendations for severance noted in the staff reports be included as a condition, that the comments from the urban forestry memo attached be included as a condition, that both of the subject lands be developed substantially in accordance with the elevations provided as per the recommendations of the staff report for both A0262 and A0263, and that the application be subject to the recommendations of the heritage memo provided from City of Toronto.
Very good. And second, Mr. Klassen seconding. All in favor? Miss Attardi, did you have a question?
No, I just want to remind or just mention that also have a forestry condition.
Has what?
I think I mentioned that. I believe I mentioned that.
Yeah, he
subject to the urban forestry memo.
He did mention it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So in unanimous, your sir, your application is approved, subject to those conditions. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, dear committee.
Item number 2, which is 201 Goddard Street, application number 2. And then we have Mr. Claudio Bruto. Are you there?
I am. I
Okay.
can go on video if.
Can you please state your name and address for us?
Yes, my name is Claudio Bruto, 113 Miranda Avenue, Toronto. We are the planning consultants for the owner of the property at 201 Goddard Street.
Okay.
We've reviewed the report, and I would imagine that you have as well.
Yeah,
The
okay.
report.
Okay, first
Yeah.
I just asked for your name. Now, we have here the consent and the 2 variances. We have nobody registered here. I'll give you the 5 minutes. Generally, because there is nobody speaking, we go ahead, but because there is a consent and 2 severances, I'd like you to make a presentation of 5 minutes and tell us what your project is all about, okay?
Absolutely. If I could ask the clerk's office to put up the site plan. And I'll be very brief, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
This is probably up at 201 Goddard. We are equally dividing it into 15-meter lots, more or less. This is an oversized lot in the neighborhood. And the staff is recommending approval. In other words, they have no issues with the consent as it's currently formulated, as long as the property develops with the per the architect's plans that we've put forth as part of this application. Our client has no issue with that. We've reviewed their recommendations put forth by staff, including the conditions, and I would commend the committee to approve respectfully the staff recommendation.
That's it?
That's it, sir.
Okay,
The report speaks for itself.
Okay, the conditions you mentioned are the conditions for the severance, standard conditions, and there is the conditions for north and south elevation drawings. You saw that one, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Members, any question? No? Then can I have a motion then, please? I'm still waiting for a hand. Mr. Bartolo? Mr. Bartolo, go ahead, please.
Yep. Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. given that there's no opposition and it's an oversized lot as identified by the staff report, I'm going to put forward a motion to approve the consents to sever subject to the standard recommendations noted in the staff report, as well as approve the requested variance subject to the recommendations of the staff report as well, tying them to the elevations as noted and subject to the conditions of the urban forestry memo attached.
Thank you. Second, Ms. Satarodi seconding. All in favor? Okay. Sir, your application is unanimously approved, subject to those conditions mentioned. Okay?
Mr. Chair, if I may take a few moments of your time.
Thank you. Okay, now, Barry Goldman, number 3. 143 Whitburn Crescent, which is item number 3. And we have here Mr. Barry Goldman. Mr. Barry Goldman, are you there?
Mr. Chair, the address is not Whitburn.
It's 56. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Okay, Mr. Barry Goldman, we have here the address on number 3 was 567 Mount Pleasant Road. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Barry Goldman. I'm the architect for this project and the agent.
Okay.
I'd suggest
for the
that
record,
the variances are mine.
For the record,
go ahead, please.
For the records, we need the name and address. Could you please tell us your own address?
My address is 321 Carlaw Street, Unit 203.
Thank you. And this is for 567 Mount Pleasant Road. There was an error here, so number 3, yeah, Mount Pleasant. And we don't have anybody else registered here to speak. So if you can make a very small presentation, please, just a small one.
Certainly. The proposal is to construct a 3rd-story dwelling unit above the existing 2-story commercial building below. The dwelling unit is to be used by the owners of the commercial unit below. The intention is essentially to allow them to live above their place of work. And I'd suggest the variances are minor. This meets the 4 tests, and I hope that you guys will agree.
Okay. Now, from the staff report, it said that you're eliminating variance number 3 for the bicycles. Is that correct?
That is correct. We were able to find space for the bicycle stores, so we're really seeking the variances number 1 and 2.
Okay.
And I point out that variance number 1 is really a technical variance. There's an existing light well in the middle of the building, and by maintaining that light well as we construct above, it generates that variance. It is technical in nature.
Okay. So, transportation. Okay. So, members, any question for this speaker? If no, Ms. Sankar, is that a question?
Just a quick question about the actual transport
Please
report.
Please go ahead.
And just, you know, I recognize that variance number 3 is what he said has been eliminated, but transport has concerns with variance number 2 and sort of
Yes, yeah. So we did have the opportunity to speak with transportation, and we were able to determine that the issue was that there's supposed to be 1 parking spot for the owner and 1 parking spot for a visitor. This site can only accommodate a total of 1 parking spot. However, it's 400 meters from the subway station. Additionally, there are 3 Green Pea parking lots. The first one is 180 meters away. The second one is 400 meters away. And the third one is just over 1 kilometer away. We did speak with transportation, and they suggested that that should be adequate to accommodate visitors. From a practical perspective, it's not really a change from the existing condition because the owner is parking there during the day to do their work, and it will be the same person parking there in the evening. So it's really not a significant change to the existing condition.
Oh, so this, you're saying that this exists as is right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other question? No. If no question, can I have a motion, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. The only concern that I had about this file was the transportation report, which we usually take very seriously. But in light of the fact that there had been discussions with staff and with transport members about this, and that this is already something that is in existence, I'll put forward a motion to approve this application as is.
I believe the staff report has a condition north and south.
There was also an amendment, Mr. Chair, there was an amendment too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I did not
The agent was,
include the staff report.
the agent was deleted variance 3.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So with the amendments made by the
Agent.
agent here today, so I'll motion to approve it and make it subject to the staff report and the conditions thereof.
North and south elevation. Okay, thank you.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you. Second? Mr. Klassen seconding. All in favor? Okay, sir, your application is approved, subject to you deleting variance number 3 and also the conditions of the staff.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Application number 4, which is Leona Drive, 4 Leona Drive. And application number 4, here we have Drew Laszlo. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Okay, Mr. Laszlo, we have no other speaker. Here we have just a new dwelling, 5 variances, staff report, just a condition, south elevations, and forestry condition number 3. Are you? Do you want to add something, or we can go to the let me see, members. Do we need the presentation here? No. Okay, we don't need the presentation. Do you want to add something before we move to the decision?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. So, can I have a Miss Sankar? I'm saying, sorry, Miss Atarodi. Miss Atarodi, go ahead.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with only one staff condition, that the proposal be constructed substantially according with the side north and the south elevation drawing submitted to the city, and also subjected to forestry.
Thank you. Second? Second, Ms. Sankar. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Sir, your application is approved, subject to that condition, the elevation drawing and south elevation, and forestry as mentioned by the staff. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item number 5, which is 25. What's going on? Item number 5, which is 25 Longwood Drive, application number 5. And here we have again just one speaker, just the agent, and there's no other speaker. Kenneth Davis, are you there?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm here.
Okay, can you please state your name and address for us?
Yes, my name is Kenneth Davis, and my address is 25 Longwood
Thank you.
Drive.
Thank you. So we have here just a one variance, no dwelling, transportation has no objection, and forestry condition number 1. Members, do we need the presentation here? No? Okay. Mr. Davis, we don't need the presentation. Do you want to add something before we move to a decision?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Can I have two, Mr. Klassen, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is minor and it does meet the four tests. So I'd like to move to approve it, and it'll be subject to urban forestry.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Tarodi, all in favor? Okay, sir, your application is unanimously approved. So there is
Thank you very much.
just a condition of forestry. Thank you. Item number 6, which is 164 Deferral Drive, application number 6. And here also we have David Buran. Are you there?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm here.
Could you please state for us your name and address?
For sure. Good morning. I'm Dave Barron, and I live at 164 Divadale Drive in Toronto.
Thank you. Now, this is to detached garage. There is just two variances, 3 letters of support, and forestry condition number 2. Members, do we need a presentation? No. Can I have Mr. Baran? We don't have any other speaker, and we don't need the presentation. Do you want to add something, or we just go to the committee for decision?
No, that's fine. And unless there's any questions, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So can I have a motion, please? Ms. Tarodi?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application. We just subjected to urban forestry.
Thank you. Second? Mr. Klassen seconding. All in favor? Thank you. Unanimous. Your application is approved unanimously, subject to forestry. Application number 7, which is 39 Transwell, application number 7. And here again we have just the agent, one person, and then there's no other speaker. And here we still have Hamid Beheshet. Are you there?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, committee members, and committee staff. This is Hamid Behesht here from Homeland, the co-designer of the house from 49 Wycliffe Crescent in Toronto.
Thank you. Okay, we have here a new dwelling. There is a staff report to modify per, okay. You know what? We don't have anybody out here, but give us a 5-minute presentation to tell us what's all about.
Sure. First, I would like to announce a little change for item number 3 based on the staff recommendation, and we managed to improve the front yard landscaping from 48% to 55%. So kindly change that 48% and the end of the last sentence to 55%.
Yeah, got that.
If the committee staff do me a favor and show slide number 1, please. This slide number 1 is in regard to the extension of the rear deck into the rear yard. And that extension, as you can see on slide number 1, is very tiny little stripe at the end of the deck, which has been shown in highlighted yellow. It's really, really tiny, and we just wanted the homeowners to be able to have a decent sized table and chairs on either side of the deck. It's interesting for everybody to know that the house itself, as of right, without any minor variance, could be extended to the line highlighted in marked in red as the line of maximum building depth. And the deck itself could extend another 2.5 meters as of right without any more minor variances from that red line to the backyard. So considering this, we will see how insignificant this extension is, especially because when we consider the existence of a right side neighbor shed, which have been shown here in color blue, which creates total privacy between this deck and the right side neighbor. No impact on any neighbor, especially the right side neighbor. Can I see slide number 2, please? Here we have shown the front yard landscaping and soft landscaping. We proposed a circular driveway in which we respected and protected the city tree in front, and we have designed a circular driveway equally away from the city tree to be supported. And by adding that curved area into the circular driveway shown in dark green, we managed to improve the front landscaping from 48% to 55%. We believe that the circular driveway to this house is extremely important because this house is very close to Bathurst Street, which we all know that it's a major street, and the Transvaal Avenue has direct access to Bathurst Street, and that's also a busy street. And it's very important for the homeowners of this house to be able to get out of the garage and driveway forward, which is much safer for them and for the neighbors and everybody. And that circular driveway provides this opportunity for them. Now, slide number 3, please, if I can see, shows the height of the side walls. Due to the contemporary design of the front of this house, the front walls need to return a little bit to the sides, to the either side, and that triggered the height of the side walls. The second reason for this extra height is the second floor windows. As you can see, we have one window on the left and one window on the right only. And without increasing the height in the window area only, we wouldn't be able to have the second floor windows. So really minor. We have to know that the rest of the vast majority of the side stays as low as 735 meters, while it could be up to 7.5 meters. Again, very minor. Finally, it's the height of the main building itself. In slide number 4, please, if you can see. That is due to the grade difference in front of the house from crown of the road to the established grade, the area which have been shown in by a green stripe at the very bottom of the drawing. This extra height is happening within the requirement of the old bylaw only, which is shown by pink arrows at the left side of the drawing. It is weirdly measured from the crown of the road to the midpoint of the roof. An imaginary line, which has been shown in red dashed dot line. That line doesn't exist in reality. It's just an imaginary line, and doesn't matter how low or higher that line is, doesn't affect the real height of the building. The real height, which has been shown by the blue arrows at the right side of the drawing, which is correctly measured with the new bylaw from the established grade, which is where the building starts, to the very top of the building. Ours is 9.99, while the maximum allowable is 10 meters. In slide number 5, it shows the houses that we approached. We got a verbal approval from all the houses at the left, right, rear, and front. And the only house which we didn't hear back was the one which is shown in purple. And hopefully we also have support of the committee members today. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, you mentioned the change of variance number 3, which is 48 to 55. That was one of the conditions of the staff. The staff report has condition per east and west elevation drawings, and also to use permeable materials for driveway. Are you okay with that?
Totally.
Okay.
Yes.
And there is forestry. So let's see what members are saying. Any question for this gentleman? No. Can I have a motion? Ms. Attarodi, you had your hand. Please go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with the following changes. The variance number 3, the front yard landscaping is now 55%. The driveway is to be developed by permeable pavers, and also the proposal be substantially developed as per the east and west drawing submitted to the city and subjected to forestry.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Bartolo, all in favor? Okay, sir, your application is approved, subject to that change and conditions mentioned.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, committee members and committee staff.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
The agent for item number 20 is back on the call.
Which one?
The item number 20 is
20.
165 Three Valleys Drive.
Yeah.
So when they want to defer, if you'd like to go back, we can go back. That's correct, Mr. Chair. Number 20.
Hi, this is Adrian.
Okay, item number 20, which is 165 Three Valleys Drive. Mr. Stanbach, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah. Now we hear you. Can you please state your name and address for us? And clearly, because we had some problem with the transmission there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I apologize for the earlier technical difficulties. My name is Adrian Stanbach, and I am located at Unit 905 at 1410 DuPont Street.
Okay, and you are requesting the deferral. Could you please tell us the reason you are deferring it for?
Absolutely. So the owner was under the impression that the neighborhood would be in support of this application. I advised on several occasions that the variances were not really in keeping with the character of the neighborhood. And then when we received letters of objection just before the hearing, I finally was able to convince the owner to at least ask for deferral, because I think we need to do a lot of revising based on the comments in the objection letters and based on the comments of canvassing the neighborhood. So we need to revise the application.
For revision of the application. Thank you. Okay, now we have a number of residents who are registered here. After we hear them, we'll go to the members for a decision. So here we have Patricia Cado. Are you there? Patricia Cado.
Mr. Chair and members, Patricia is unmuted and they are able to speak. Go ahead, Patricia.
Patricia Cado. Okay, we'll go back to her. How about Martin Craig?
Patricia, if you could log out and log back in and authorize the use of your microphone, please.
Martin Kirk, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Could you please state your name and address for us?
My name is Martin Kirk, 148 Three Valleys Drive.
Thank you. So you heard what's happening. We're not going to discuss. If we decide to defer it, we will not discuss it today. The agent.
I agree.
Thank you. Thank you. The next one is it said Patricia. I guess they meant Patricia. Patricia Mills, are you there?
Mr. Chair and members, Patricia is on the call, but they have not authorized their microphone for use, and I can't mute or unmute them.
Okay.
Patricia, if you'd like to participate in the call, please log out and log back in and authorize the use of your microphone.
Very good. In the meantime, how about Cado? Is she still there, Patricia?
Mr. Chair, Carmelina is not on the call at this time.
Carmelina is not, huh? Okay, and the next one is Susan Arnold. Susan Arnold, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you heard what's happening. The agent is asking for deferral in order to revise their applications, and you're okay with that, huh?
I had understood from the owner that it was to be withdrawn.
Yeah, well, it's deferred. Deferred, that means we're not going to discuss it today. We're not going to make a decision. It's up to them to come back with another revision or withdraw it. But in the meantime, they're asking for deferral. Okay?
That is acceptable.
Okay, thank you. And Heather Crawford, Heather Crawford, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Heather, you heard what's happening. The agent is asking for deferral. That means if we do decide to defer it, we will not discuss it today. And when it comes back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so we have the other. So these two are okay. We have the two Patricias. Patricia Cado.
Mr. Chair, Patricia Cato is still not on the line yet.
How about
Mr. Chair, Patricia Mills still has not authorized the use of their microphone yet.
So we can't speak to any of them, eh?
Correct.
So anybody listening there, we're going to give you a few more minutes. We have Patricia Cado and Patricia Mills.
Mr. Chair, we can try Patricia Cato now.
Okay.
Go ahead, Patricia Cato.
Ms. Cado, are you there?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, they're unmuted and they can't speak, so we can.
They can't speak. Okay, well, well, okay. So this is we'll call one more time. Make sure, give them another chance. Ms. Cado, Patricia Cado, are you there? If you're there, please come to speak. If not, we're going to move on. And the same with Patricia Mills. Patricia Mills, are you there?
Mr. Chair, members, Patricia Mills has left the call officially. I suspect
left.
they're trying to get back on, but.
Okay. All right. And Patricia Cado again, we'll give you another chance.
Go ahead, Patricia.
Hello, hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can
Hey,
you hear me?
We can hear
Wow,
you.
what a system here we have in place. It certainly
Okay.
has presented
Hey,
some
Ka,
challenges.
Yeah, Ka, hold a second, please. Could you please just state your name and address? We'll see which Patricia is speaking.
This is Patricia Cadeau,
Hi, Patricia.
213. Hi, 2133 Valleys Drive.
Thank you.
And it's unfortunate I have not been privy to the conversation that's taken place before me.
Okay.
Any chance you could bring me up to speed on that?
Okay, well, the agent is asking for a deferral, which means if we decide to defer the application, we will not discuss it today. They want to make changes, whatever they want to do. In the meantime, if we defer it, we will not discuss it. So you'll have to watch when it's coming up again, if it comes. Okay?
So, okay, so given that, so I would like to make known my feeling about the variances, first of all, and this application.
No, excuse me, we're not discussing any of the application.
Oh,
not
you're not?
variances, nothing.
Okay.
There is only a question on the table, is we deferring it. If we defer it, we're going to see what the members are deciding. If we defer it, we will not discuss anything about the application. when it comes back, at the time when it comes back, then we'll discuss it. Okay?
And how will we be informed of that?
The same thing you were informed today. They will announce it
Okay.
again, what day and what time. So, okay?
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. How about Patricia Mills?
Mr. Chair, members, Patricia is not on the call at this time.
Is not on the call.
No.
Okay. So we did cover all of them, except Patricia Mills. She left. So, members, we have the request to defer the application for the agents to come up with revisions. So, can I have any question to the member, to the agent, or you want to go straight to a motion? Any question? No? Can I have a motion then, please? Mr. Bartolo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to put forward a motion to defer this application to allow the applicant to revise their proposal based on consultation with the neighbors and addressing city comments, and that'll be sine die. Thank you.
Sine die. Thank you. Second? Mr. Klassen seconding. All in favor? Okay, thank you. So, sir, your application is deferred sine die, so you'll have to check with the staff when it's coming back.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, we're on number eight now.
Okay. Application number 8, which is 80 Reichert Crescent, application number 8. And here we have the agent is...
A late change, Mr. Chair, for the agent. We have Claudio Bruto on the call.
2 seconds. Number 8 is Peter Higgins, it shows here.
Oh, sorry, my mistake. Correct.
Okay. Mr. Higgins, Peter Higgins, are you there?
I am, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Can you please repeat your name and address for the records here to be recorded?
Certainly. Peter James Higgins of Peter Higgins Architect Incorporated at 124 Merchant Street, Suite 204, Toronto, Mary 4, Sydney 2, Zebra 2.
Thank you. We have a couple more speakers here at the residence. So if you can give us a small presentation and cover those changes. We understand that you're making, you're changing application number, variance number 2 and removing 7 and 8. And there is some staff conditions and all that stuff. So could you please cover give you 5 minutes, give us a presentation, then we'll go to the other 2 speakers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, committee. I would like to just go through the list very quickly. Number 1 remains with a caveat that I'll speak to in a moment. Number 2 is reduced to 17.18 meters versus the allowable 17. Number 3, the front yard setback is reduced or increased actually to 6.8 meters versus an allowable of 7.69. Number 4, 5, and 6 stay the same. We eliminate number 7 and number 8, both of which refer to the Toronto Region Conservation Authority. We didn't have a variance there, except we were considering putting in a basement recreation room under the rear deck, and that's what caused the variance there. So 7 and 8 are removed. Number 9 stays, but with a caveat that I'll speak to that in just a moment to explain it. I would like to speak for my clients, Susan and Gus Papiano. They have 4 children that are teenagers and just below. They are not developers, as has been suggested by a number of neighbor letters. They live in East York presently. They bought the property last year, and we've been working hand in hand with Ravine, with Forestry, with the Planning Department, and with the TRCA since that time to put together a proposal that you have in front of you. We hand delivered 10 architectural information packages. My client spoke to a number of neighbors and adjacent neighbors, and we also have spoken directly to my office with the adjacent neighbor at number 82. I have also left a message for number 82 and didn't hear back from them. We have support from number 70 and number 86, Reichert, and of course there is some opposition. I wanted the committee to remember that there is no coverage variance. We have 0.26 versus an allowable 0.35. We have no floor space index variance. We are proposing 0.48 versus an allowable of 0.6. Number 74's concerns are valid. So one of them was about privacy. So I went personally and measured the sidewall of their garage and house. And I can tell you, and I would be happy to send them a drawing that shows our proposed mudroom door, their existing mudroom door, their existing garage door, and their existing second floor windows. There are no privacy overlooks with our proposed house. Again, with number 74's concerns, our proposed house is further away than the existing house. The existing is at 0.45. Due to the nature of the pie-shaped lot, we have a stepped facade or a stepped plan along the west side. We step in the variances, the biggest variance is 0.63, which only occurs at the northwest corner of the proposed house, which again is further back than the existing house. We have 0.90 meters setback in the middle and 1.44 meters at the southwest corner. And if staff could possibly just, well, actually, I'm enlarging it myself. So we have this stagger. We have a touch point at the, what is in your way, the far left, which is the northwest corner of 0.63. The inside corner, by the way, near where the proposed mudroom door is at 1.44 meters. So when you take them all together, and the red line represents the 1.2 meter required setback, we are greater than that in some cases and less than that in other cases, but on average, we're very close to the 1.2 meters. So, there is a letter, a very extensive letter from Fraser Roberts at number 82. My associate, Peter Francis, spoke to, I'm assuming, his partner, Aaron Higgins, who I also called and left a message for. I have to say that the letter is very inflammatory. I believe this committee knows that I'm an honorable and very accurate and very careful architect, and I take great issue with some of the comments that come from number 82, suggesting that we're being deceitful and sneaky, etc. That said, I would respect their concerns. And if you look at the site plan again, you'll see that their house, which is to the top of the page, which is an original house like ours was, with a substantial second floor addition to the rear, with a bump out as well, as you can see there on the site plan. That sidewall, which faces us, has no windows, and it is
Mr. Higgins, if you can summarize, we'll come back to you on questions because we're past the time here. So,
okay, just quickly, that side yard has no windows and is between 0.3 and 0.45 meters from the property line. I know they're concerned about the loss of the openness because the existing house is less wide, but we are maintaining 0.9, which is a fairly typical side yard setback ask in Lawrence Park, particularly when you have a ravine condition, and we certainly can't extend the house any longer into the backyard because of the ravine. And I remind you that we only have a 17.18 meter length now.
okay, all right. So So yeah, so please, we're going to go back because we have other speakers here, and we'll be back to you to respond. Now, just to make clear, because you included the whole thing in the same conversation, I'd like to go over exactly just the changes you're making. You're changing number 2 from 2142 to 17 what?
0.18.
0.8. You're eliminating number 7 and number 8.
Correct, but you should
correct.
also go back to number 3 has been, front yard setback has been increased to 6.8.
6.8, I got that. Okay. So those are the changes.
Now, if I may explain, because I had a caveat, the proposed building height is 8.96 meters. That is at the front of the house only, and that's for aesthetic balance proposed. There is no wall height variance. In fact, we're quite a bit less than the allowable. We're 5.86 versus allowable 7. So we've pulled the roof down substantially so that the
so please,
walls are
yeah,
lower.
yeah, you explained that in the conversation. You explained
What I'd
that
like you to note, Mr. Chairman and committee, is that we're prepared based on the concerns of the 2 immediate neighbors about shadowing the ravine, that we would reduce the roof height for the rear 3.5 meters down to 8.8 meters, which is only a 1 foot variance to the bylaw. But we need, and you can see if the staff just brings up the front facade.
Excuse me, we want to be beyond the 5 minute and another 5 minutes. We're gonna hear the other speakers, and we'll be back to you. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have here Russell Kisson and Larissa Matukas. Anyone there?
Mr. Chair, in this case, it will be Larissa.
Larissa, eh? Okay. Larissa, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Okay. Can you please state for us your name and your address?
Sure. My name is Larissa Matukis, and I reside at 74 Rykert Crescent.
Okay. So you heard the presentation. Could you please tell us what's your concern?
Yep. So we are particularly concerned by the height, and I appreciate that Mr. Higgins has reduced the rear height. It would be nice to actually see what that actually amounts to. One of the things that's not evident on the drawings is that the grade at the back of the house in the backyards is actually substantially different between the 2 houses. And we are, there's a retaining wall of around 6 to 8 feet between the 2 backyards. So the perception from our backyards with the extended height of the house means that it casts a much greater shadow and actually infringes upon our privacy in our backyard, because now the height of the house is towering over our backyard. We too have 3 young children, one of which is a teenager, and they tend to play in the backyard as well as the front yard. And this structure is quite imposing and impacts our privacy with its height. I am less concerned about the sidewall variances, but the height of the house is quite imposing. And it also would impact the vegetation and wildlife that occurs in our ravine. So it will change the ecology of our backyards.
Okay, thank you. Let's see if the member have any question. Any question for the speaker? No. So we'll be back to Mr. Higgins, and he'll address your concern. Okay. Now we have the next speaker is Fraser Roberts and Aaron Higgins.
In this case, Mr. Chair, it'll be Fraser.
Fraser. Okay. Mr. Fraser Roberts, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
A little, if you can speak up a little bit higher.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Perfect. Your name and your address, please.
Yeah, my name is Fraser Roberts. I live at 82 Rykert Crescent.
Thank
I'm
you.
the east side neighbor to the proposed development.
Okay, just tell us, please, what's your concern about this application?
Yeah, so we have a number of like primary concerns. I think we laid out in the letter some significant concerns about each of the requested variances and the total magnitude of what that entails or results in. Individually, they may seem minor, but as a whole, it represents a dramatic change in the dwelling that will exist at that site. The primary concern for us, I think, is the front yard setback and concerns that the proximity to the trees. And I'm not going to speak too much to that because I think the urban forestry has requested the denial of the application on the basis of the front yard setback request. We're concerned about the tree in front, but as well as the tree in our property and the impact of the potential death of that tree. On the side yard setback on our yard represents a major difference in the space between the two houses. Our house is quite close to the property line, as Mr. Higgins identified. Certainly, that's not something that was done by us, but the distance between the two houses is going to be reduced by dramatic margin and would reduce any kind of light or eliminate any light that's going to come through there into the backyard. And so we share the concerns that Ms. or Larissa at 74 Reichert indicated in terms of the impact to the ravine and the wildlife and the stability of the slope there. We also take in terms of the stable top of bank. I understand that they removed the requests, the variances at the back, but we do have concerns with the TRCA's identification of where that stable top of bank is. Our property is higher than 74. The retaining wall that is in the property of 80 Reichert really is there, and it's holding up the land in our backyard. And our concern is that the construction activities could impact the stability of that slope. The retaining wall is crumbling; it is not in good condition. And our fear is that through the construction activity on site, that there is going to be an impact on the stability of our property and potentially to our house. The soil conditions at the back of our property are extremely soft. There has been erosion in the area. In fact, around the corner along Eglinton, the backyards did collapse onto the street in relation to the Eglinton Crosstown LRT development. And so a retaining wall did have to be built there to help support those properties. The same type of conditions exist in our property. And so the lack of geotech report, I think, is a major concern for us. And we have major concerns about the impact to our house and property. So, we also have two young kids. I have a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old baby at home. We have not had adequate time through this process to be able to look into all of these concerns. I appreciate that Mr. Higgins may have reached out to my wife. She's a very busy person right now with 2 young kids. We have not had a chance to discuss it with our neighbors, despite repeated attempts to talk to them about what they were proposing. And so we feel like the application should be denied or at least deferred. And if it were to proceed and be approved, I mean, our intent would be to appeal and to continue to look into these matters. So again, our concerns are the front yard setback, side yard setback. We are concerned about the height. And then ultimately have major concerns about the stability of the top of bank identified by the TRCA and the location identified in their report.
Okay, that's it. Did you finish? Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, now we'll have Mr. Higgins come back and address your concerns about the site backs and height and all that stuff. As far as the trees and the erosion and the land and that stuff, we don't deal with it here. The trees are being dealt with the forestry, and anything about the construction and the water and the erosion is dealt at the permit stage, not here. It's not that it's not important, except we don't deal with it here. It's not one of our terms of references. So we'll have Mr. Higgins come back and address the concerns of the site backs and height.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I'd like to bring to your attention, we just got a last second email.
Who?
Got a last second email from the other owner at 74 Riot, Russell Cuson. They just requested they'd like to speak, but I mean, the property has already spoken once.
Rikers, we don't have the Rikers here.
Yeah, the second area resident for 74 Riker, Russell and Larissa.
Oh,
So Larissa's already spoken, but I just got an email from
Russell Kissen.
Russell that would like to comment too. But I mean, it's up to you, Mr. Chair, if you'd like to. The
Okay,
property has spoken.
So Russell Kissen is in, right? He's the one who would speak.
They're present as well. Larissa has already spoken though for 5 minutes.
Okay, well, let's finish the first one first. First, we'll finish Mr. Fraser Roberts. As I was mentioning, Mr. Higgins will address those concerns, and the other problems you mentioned about the construction is not here. So, members, do you have any question for Mr. Roberts, who spoke just before? No? Okay, now I hear we have another speaker here, Mr. Kisson?
Correct.
Mr. Kisson, are you there?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm here.
Okay, could you please state your name and address for us?
Thank you. My name is Russell Pierre Kissoon. I live at 74 Reichert Crescent.
Thank you. And tell us what's your concern about this application.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the panel today. Thank you to the members and to staff. I acknowledge that this committee has a difficult role to play on the day-to-day affairs of the city and developments. You're probably quite familiar with folks like Mr. Higgins, and Mr. Higgins is probably quite familiar with how to deal with this committee. I am not. There's homeowners that are coming before you, and in this case, have spent millions of dollars just to get onto the street. And now they're looking to invest more to create a family home of their own, a dream for their family. This is a difficult role, and I want to acknowledge that. And I'd ask you to take a moment just to hear 5 highlights of my concerns with respect to the application for variances before you. First and foremost, I do not believe that these variances that are before you are minor. While it's a half a meter here and a half a meter there, taken together, there are now from 9 down to 7 variances proposed for this property. That's a lot. In my casual survey of some of the other variances and the applications you were looking at today, it was more like 1 or 2. This is a significant change to this property and a significant change to the neighborhood, which brings me to the second point, which is the character of the street. These items taken together, including the size, the height at the front, the reduced front setback, the impact. I heard Mr. Higgins' presentation, and I understood that they wanted to reduce the height at the back of the property, but the height at the front of the property is still quite imposing. And with the reduced front setback, it will change. It will set a precedent for unnecessary height on the street. This is really important to me right now because I'm not only facing a proposed building and a building change at 80 Reichert, but on my eastern border, I expect that you're going to hear an application for another change there. And if we start setting precedents, I think it will continue, and it's a slippery slope. As Mr. Higgins noted, these are pie-shaped lots. So when we talk about reducing the side setback, it has a very significant impact at the back of the building. It impacts light and it impacts wildlife. I bring you these concerns as the person next door, but also as somebody who has experience with building a house on a street. We undertook a significant renovation to our home, and we went to great lengths to remain within the rules and the bylaws of this city, and adhere to the requirements of the TRCA and the city. I would ask that you do the same with this property. I have a challenge for folks. I challenge the owners, and I challenge Mr. Higgins to design a building that fits within the bylaw. I would ask that the committee consider denying the request for these variances to the bylaw. And if they're unable to do that, I'd ask, can you explain to me why? we have these bylaws and why we can't adhere to them. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any question for the speaker? No? Okay, so I guess we covered all of them. There's no other speaker, Mr. Moderator. Okay, so Mr. Higgins, could you come back, please, and address those concerns? And
Certainly, Mr.
And I'm going to give you the 5 minutes, and please, could you stick to the time, please?
I will, I promise. Thank you. Would staff please pull up the photographs of the property? Thank you very much. If you could, I expect all of you can enlarge these photographs, etc. So the existing house marked with red is a small original Leaside house with a small addition on the back, which is just behind the red dot. There's an existing pool. The house immediately to the left side is number 74. It has a very deep ravine setting, whereas we have a partial tableland setting, and the house to the right, which is number 82, has a somewhat more of a tableland, and you can see that there. This photograph also shows clearly the addition that was put on number 82 in line with their side wall. I imagine that it was not done by the present owners, but nevertheless, that's what we're dealing with in terms of shadowing. That house has been shadowing this property for many, many years. And we're not saying, you know, what you can do is what we can do, but we respect that. And that's why I've offered to reduce the height. Could we go to the photographs that show the backyard, please? There should be some, okay, thank you. There should be some photographs though taken at grade, but here you can see the red brick house with the gray roof to the bottom, which is number 82, who are making quite a few references to our property. You can see where they line up. You can see houses two doors further over, which are much longer. But if we could please go to the photographs that I've taken by hand, looking at the rear of the property. And I hope I get a few seconds, Mr. Chairman, because of the delay with getting these on the board. I have to speak to them. In the meantime, we're happy to, of course, share and speak with both neighbors further. We don't believe that deferral is necessary. Well, we have indeed listened to the neighbors, and we've listened to forestry. The reason why we've removed the front yard or reduced the front yard setback requirement is simply because we've removed a basement bedroom and window well underneath the front porch. The planning department was working with us and had no issues with what we were proposing, but we are prepared from a forestry standpoint to remove that bedroom under the porch and the window well, and that's why we can increase the front yard setback to 6.8 from where it was at 5.28. I'm sorry, can the staff not get the other photos?
Mr. Higgins, we're currently looking for them right now.
Okay, and if not, could you please show me the rear facade and the side facades of the house? So that's okay. So here's the front yard. That's the tree in question. We respect forestry and their concerns. We thought that we'd be able to convince forestry that there was no issue, but we hear that they have great concerns. We will continue to deal with them as we dealt with Ravine and TRCA and planning, as we always do, to try to come to a solution. But the reduction or the removal of the basement bedroom and window well will greatly help the survival of this tree, because the new front wall setback is right on the edge of the tree protection zone, which of course is enlarged because of the ravine setting. If it was a regular street not on the ravine, we'd be well beyond the tree protection zone. I remind the committee, and if we can please get to the elevations, the house is fully hipped. Okay, so now we've got that. You can see that there's the pool, which is on a tableland. There's a drop down from the main floor. Number 82 is to the left and number 74 is to the right. Can we get one more shot that perhaps goes to show number 74 to the right side? We have a fully, there we go. So, and then go to the panorama, please, that is looking at the backyard from the deck. The Ravine and TRCA people have allowed us to go to the edge of the deck, which is their norm. And there's the view from the deck looking down. It's a bit blurry, but you can see number 72 in the red brick to the side, number 74 to the left side in kind of a light blue. What you can't really see is number 74's property is way down below.
Mr. Higgins, I'll ask you to summarize, please.
I'd like to have 1 minute because of the staff, and I appreciate the staff, but I need to get to the side yard elevations and the front elevation. We fully respect the flora and fauna of the ravine. That's of course why my clients bought this property. We have listened and we've reduced, and even though we believe that that big tree in the front overshadows the ravine more than the house ever will, we're willing to reduce the roof height from the last 3.5 meters of the depth of the house in order to lessen the impact with any shadowing. Now, Larissa next door mentioned that she didn't care about the sidewall. We don't have a variance for the sidewall. So in fact, the sidewall is a bigger deal with overshadowing and with imposition of scale because it's a vertical wall, not a hipped roof like we have. We have a fully pyramidal hip roof. Now, the side walls or the main walls are in fact well below. They're 1.18 meters below the allowable height. So the walls are as short as we can get them and still have a two-story house. In fact, the walls are shorter. If we can please try to get to the front facade, please.
I'm sorry, Mr. Higgins, I'll have to cut you off. If the members have any question, you'll come back to answer that, okay?
Thank you. I'd appreciate some questions. Thank you.
We have 7 minutes. Everybody can ask 1 minute here, 1 minute there. I mean, we have a schedule here. So let's see if the members have any question. We'll come back to you. Okay, so members, any questions? Let's put the members on. Members, any question? Ms. Sankar. Ms. Sankar, you have questions?
Okay, through you, Mr. Chair. The first question, there are a couple questions, but the first one is to ask Mr. Higgins to finally go through once and for all of the changes that he is proposing, because I wasn't clear and it kept coming in sporadically through different aspects of the presentation. And I would like Mr. Higgins to complete his summary about the variances around the side yard setback for me. Thank you.
Mr. Higgins, could you go over again I have them here, but you can go over the changes exactly on each one, not to explain anything, just say number 1 changing to so and so, application number, variance number so and so, change to how much, okay, please?
Certainly. Number 1 has no change, with the exception that we to 8.8 meters. Number 2, the proposed length of the house, it's allowed to be 17 meters. We're at 17.18.
18, yeah.
6 inches difference. Number 3, the proposed front yard setback is 6.80 meters. Number 4 remains as 0.9. Number 5 remains as 0.63. However, I do state again that the side yard here is staggered and it goes from 0.63 to 1.44. The roof eaves, I forgot to mention that. I am eliminating number 6 for the roof eaves. There will be no variance there.
Okay.
Number 7 is removed.
Number 8 is removed.
Number 8 is removed, and these were removed some time ago, but it didn't get back to the committee in time to be put here. And then number 9 stays. but again, with the condition that the rear 3.5 meters of the house has a reduced roof height of 8.8 meters.
Thank you. Now, yeah, Ms. Sankar, you had another question?
It was just around the explanation I believe Mr. Higgins wanted to complete, and I wanted to hear that about variance number 5 and the side yard, 4 and 5 around the side yard setbacks, if there's any other commentary he'd like to provide.
If I may, with your permission, could you put the site plan back up on my screen? I know you all can see it, but the existing house is much closer to the neighbor at number 74. Number 74 themselves are only about 2 feet from the property line. We have staggered the side wall to try to create an average, and the line that is the red line on the site plan shows the 1.2 meters. In some places we're slightly over, places were slightly under, or you know what I'm trying to get at here. It's a staggered wall because of the pie-shaped lot, and we're respecting that. And given that we don't have a length variance except for 6 inches, I think the side yard variance is important to maintain a reasonable house. And lastly, we're certainly open to talking further to the 2 adjacent neighbors. And we have tried. Nobody called except for number 82. Nobody referred back to us in our letter that was sent out to everybody. You know, the phone number was right there. The email was there. We didn't hear from anyone. I appreciate with COVID, we're not doing a lot of in-person meetings, but we would have been happy to speak further to the neighbors to assuage some of their concerns. And I believe that we've done a number of things to mitigate those concerns. And I would hope that the committee would understand that this proposal is very unique on the ravine that it's on, and we fully respect the ravine conditions and have from the beginning, the very beginning.
Thank you. Any other question? Ms. Tarodi, you have a question?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I have 2 questions. Number 1 is, does the site plan that is attached to this report reflect the modification that Mr. Higgins provided regarding the variance number, length, and also length and variance 2 and 3, front yard setback? Does those modifications shows on the site plan that was in front of us? And also the second one, I would like to get an explanation, like for the height, and is there any way that, because he was explaining, but I would like to listen to see how does it change from the front to the back of the building.
Thank you. If I may ask the staff to put up the site plan again, and please try to find the front facade. Okay, so this drawing in front of you has the proper setback. If you look to the left, the heavy dashed line is the ravine line that crosses through the property and it intersects both properties next door. That's mapped by the city. Now, it doesn't mean you can't go beyond that. It simply means that the property is within it. If you go to the far left, and I'm using my cursor, but you will see a 10.14 meter angled line that shows that we are more than 10 meters to the corner of the house from what the TRCA and the ravine people say is the long-term stable top of bank, which is at the top of that retaining wall that you see to the far, far left, sort of like a hockey stick with dashed lines. Okay, so that's the key there, that we have more than the 10 meters allowed from the long-term stable top of slope. In terms of the front yard, the dimension that, and it's very hard to see here, is there any chance we can go to the green, the colored one? Because, well, you can see it here, the box in the front that goes from the property line to the heavy line, which is the main front wall, is 6.8 meters. That is our requested front yard setback. It's to the main wall, the heavy line. So we're still going to have the porch because we think it's a nice element. My clients want to sit on the front porch and look at the kids playing in the street as much as anybody does. And that's something that's been commented in letters. So underneath that used to be a bedroom with a window well. The window well is now gone. The bedroom below is gone. The porch will be built on piers to help the tree survive. And so you can see the tangent of the tree protection circle, which is 4.8 meters, hits the dark line, which is the main wall of the house and the wall of the basement below it. So that's the 6.8 meter requirement, or front yard setback that we're now proposing. Okay. Now, is there any chance to get the front facade on? There we go. Okay, so we have a roof that is only at its most highest point at the front in order to balance the rest of the house. We drop to the side. You can see to the left, it's just 6 inches over the allowable. But of course, this committee has to go by what is being proposed. And so we're proposing a very small area of the roof at the front. It's again fully hipped. So the relationship with its neighbors is going to be, I believe, very reasonable. And what we have on the side is a dashed line that is showing where the allowable height is. And we have about a 6-inch overage on that left side that continues to the back. So we're asking that essentially that and if this committee would allow it, that we are tied to the front facade as it relates to the roof heights. If we would be allowed to do that, we would build this house exactly as it shows, where the vast majority of the roof is only 6 inches higher than in the allowable. I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, just so through you, Mr. Chair, just I want to ask one more time. So the site plan that we presented will reflect the changes that you did regarding the length, which is 17.18, and front yard setback, which is 6.8. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Ms. West.
Yeah, that's a very good question because there is a condition from the staff to build in according to the site plan. So if we have the right site plan, good question, Ms. Tarodi. Very good. Okay, any other question? No? Okay, then I need a motion. Ms. Oh, I have two. Again, I had two at the same time. Which one would like to make a motion? Can I have a motion, please? Ms. Sankar.
I was trying to give the floor to Ms. Atarodi, but it's okay. All right, I'll move forward with making a motion on this application. So I think when it comes to applications like these, it's very difficult, especially when you hear, you know, some very convincing stories from the neighbors and some compelling arguments that they make. So I just want to respect what they've said and let them know that, you know, in doing so, I'm considering what they're saying, but I'm also looking at the application in front of me, of which I am looking at this and seeing that there is, you know, it is indeed a unique lot. Looking at the actual variances themselves and the modifications that were made, as well as the fact that it will still be subject to forestry. That's not something that we can get away with, you know, and the fact that, you know, there will still be ongoing discussions with the neighbor, as was stated by the agent here today. I'm willing to put forward a motion at this stage to approve this application. And I'm going to make it subject to the numbers of changes that the applicant has made here today. Because he's gone through that in detail and detailing the specific wording for each of the variances, I won't repeat it because that's been captured. And I will also make it subject to urban forestry. And I believe I had heard Ms. Attarodi state that about a site plan, but I'll leave it there unless there's a friendly amendment. And that's my motion. And I see Ms. Attarodi wants a friendly amendment.
Okay.
Sure.
Ms. Attarodi, seconding, yeah?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would also add the condition that staff also recommended that the front yard setback to be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing attached to the report.
Right. Yeah.
Accepted.
Very good.
So,
okay, so second, Ms. Attarodi. All in favor? Opposed? Mr. Klassen is opposing. And sir, your application is approved subject to all those conditions. You want us to repeat
Thank you
them?
very much.
Okay, okay.
Mr. Chair, I wonder if it would be possible to take a little recess.
Yes, so we'll have a small recess and we'll be right back. So, Mr. Could you please announce recess here? We'll be back in 10 minutes.
We'll be back in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mr. Chair and members, good afternoon or good morning. Good afternoon. For item number 9, the agent you have listed is Francesco Fiorani, and it actually will be Claudio Baruto as the agent for the file.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're resuming the session here, and we're in number 9, which is 2500 Shepherd Avenue East. And here for the agent, we have Claudio Bruto, please. Are you there? Mr. Bruto, are you there?
Yes, I am, sir.
Okay, could you please state for us your name and your address?
Yes, my name is Claudio Bruto, 113 Miranda Avenue, Toronto.
Thank you. So could you please, we have here 3 more speakers, and could you give us a presentation of 5 minutes and tell us what's the, what exactly about this one is a gas bar with the being expanded to convenience store and eating establishment? Could you please cover all that stuff and tell us what's all about?
Yes, I'll ask the clerk to turn to the site plan and keep my comments very brief.
Thank you.
There are details, Mr. Ferrani should be on the call as well. I'll start by saying we've reviewed the staff report and the recommendation. There is no actual recommendation. There were no negative comments. This is a very typical gas station renewal. It's in a very important location and important new build for Suncor. When I say new build, essentially the development that is there will be completely modernized to a state-of-the-art Petro-Canada station with all the typical new offerings that you would see in gas stations. The site is at Victoria Park and Shepherd on the northwest corner, and essentially those are the comments that I have. There are not a significant number of variances. There are no issues as far as I could tell. Transportation has signed off because there was some questions about parking, but we have more than an ample amount of parking available to the property. So with that being said, I'm not going to take up any more of your valuable time to ask your indulgence to approve the application as being put forth by ourselves and your staff. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very brief. Thanks. Appreciate it. So we have here Randy Satok. Are you there?
Mr. Chair and members, Randy is not on the call at this time.
Okay. David Smith. Are you there?
Mr. Chair and members, David Smith is not on the call at this time.
Not on the call. Bonnie and Jeffrey Wasser. Are you there?
Mr. Chair and members, the Wassers are not on the call at this time.
Okay, so that's it. There's nobody else. All right. So members, there is no other speaker except for the gentleman, Claudio Bruto, and you heard his presentation. Any question? Mr. Klassen?
Yes, I have a question for the applicant. I think it would be good if he could go through each of the variants has and explain each one, please.
Mr. Bruto, did you hear the question? If you can explain, go over the variances.
I will ask the clerk to allow Mr. Firani into the meeting. He's my colleague and has been dealing with the file day to day with your staff. And then we would ask if...
Excuse me, hold a second. Are we talking to Mr. Bruto?
Yes.
Okay, so the gentleman, the member is asking to go over your variances and just explain each one. You have 1, 2, 3, so...
Yes.
just go over, give explanation.
And this is what I'm asking, sir, if you could allow Mr. Fiorani into the meeting. He was dealing with the matter on a day-to-day basis with your staff.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, it seems like the agent who is,
Fiorani, yeah, he said one.
yeah,
Okay. So please, we
Hi,
don't.
Rick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, would staff be able to pull up the site plan, please?
And you're Mr. Fiorani, right?
Yes, Francesco Fiorani from Bruto Consulting. I work with Mr. Claudio Bruto.
Very good. And your address is, your own address is?
113 Miranda Avenue, Toronto.
Thank you. Thank you. We need that for the records. Okay.
Okay. Is staff able to pull up the site plan, please?
we're bringing it up right now.
Yeah. If you bear with us, we're having some difficulty to put it right there. Okay, so please hold a second.
Not a problem. Thank you.
If you could continue with your presentation, we'll have it up in a moment.
Yeah, yeah. Could you just explain the variances with until we get it out? So you have.
Okay, not a problem. So variance number one, we are proposing a retail gross floor area of 317.7 square meters, whereas the bylaw allows for 140 square meters. This is for a convenience store and fast food restaurant building being proposed at the southeast corner of the site. This is a pretty standard variances for a lot of gas stations. It's to be able to fit a modern day convenience store combined with restaurants. You see them all over the city on new gas stations. So that's variance number one. City staff has expressed no concern for it. For variance number two, that's a proposed setback of the, again, convenience store building of 4.82 meters from the south lot line, whereas the minimum permitted is 7.5 meters. This again is because we are putting, as in line with the city's urban design guidelines, we're putting the building at the corner of the site to make it more accessible for pedestrians and cyclists. And as such, it's triggered the variance on the south lot line, and that's labeled on the site plan. And for the third variance, this is for the old bylaw 7625, where we are proposing 14 parking spaces, and the minimum required as per the old bylaw is 16. So it's a deficiency of 2 spaces. However, transportation staff commented on this variance, saying that the old bylaw does not reflect modern parking standards. These have been reduced as per zoning bylaw 569 2013, and transportation staff has indicated that the required amount of parking spaces is only 9 spaces, and they have stated in their letter that a total of that the 14 parking spaces provided satisfy their requirements under the new bylaw, and they have no concerns.
Okay. Any other question? If not, can I have a motion there, please? Mr. Klassen?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I appreciate the presentation, and I do believe this is minor and it meets the 4 tests. So I'd like to move to approve this application.
Thank you. Second? Mr. Bartolo seconding. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Sir, your application is approved and I don't see any conditions. Item number 10, which is Lord Seaton Road. And this we have here, Glenn Robinoff is the speaker here. Mr. Robinoff, are you there?
Hello, yes, good afternoon. It's
Hi,
Glenn
could you
Robinoff here.
please repeat your name and address for the records here?
Yes, it's Glenn Rubinoff Design Group, 18 Gloucester Lane, Toronto, Ontario.
Okay, so we have here a new dwelling. 8 variances, staff report asking to refuse a number of them, 3 and 4, and we have here the grading, and we have forestry and transportation as just conditions. So could you please, we don't have any other speaker here, but could you give us a 5-minute presentation and explain the merits of this application, please?
Yes, thank you very much. I would like to talk about variance 3 and 4 because that is what is brought up by the city. If I could ask staff if they could put up the site plan onto the screen, please. The lot has an irregular front shape, so variance 4 is a calculation that is based on the front lot line and parallel to that. So it's not reflective of the length of the building, but rather the touch points where they determine the length. So if you see the angled line parallel to the front, that's the front yard setback. And then from there, it's got a circle around it. That indicates the 25.78 meter. That's taken to the furthest most point, which actually touches the corner of the building. But if I could, I don't know if it's possible to zoom in at all on the house itself. Maybe not.
We'll be able to zoom in, absolutely.
Okay, great. That's helpful there, right there. Yeah. So the actual building, if you look on the right-hand side, it's actually 19.15 on the one side and 22.76 on the other side. And so the length taken to if you look next to that, it says 25.96 meters. That's the building length. That is taken beyond the building. That's taken to the deck, effectively, the portion. And I'll ask you if you could go to the basement plan because I can explain it a little better there. So the 2276 is the actual building, but in the basement there's a small area that projects beyond the deck, just in the basement. But that's where it's taken. So if you can zoom back slide up to the top. Sorry, to that little room there called the what's it even called? It's called a hobby room, yeah. So that basically is where the length is taken to. But that's the building itself. It has a ramp down system to parking. So if you can just kind of slide back up, or yeah. So there's a ramp on the left-hand side that comes down. In order for us to make it work, we've had to minimize the slope, have a certain level area to be able to turn. That is where the 22.76 length comes from. And it's just on that side of the building. The variances are for a higher number because of those 2 points I made. One, that it takes it beyond the building, and the second one is because it's taken on an angle because of the irregular front of the lot. What I propose here is, because that room in the back is not an essential part of it, and it seems to, even though it's just in the basement, I feel like it's giving an artificial depth to the building, which really is not anything that's going to affect any neighbors because it's not on the main floor or anywhere above. It's just in the basement. But if it's just effectively cold storage, it wouldn't even count. However, I'd like to effectively adjust the length of variance number 3. That should hopefully deal with the concerns of staff, to bring it down to 22.76 for variance number 3 instead of 25.96. That's the back of the ramp. basically, the back of the part that where they come down and turn. And that's the length that we would need to be able to do that ramp. That's only for, if you go back to the site plan again, I can just show you briefly. It's just for that projection on the left-hand side. It's because, as I mentioned, on the other side, it's only 19.15 meters for that portion. So it's really just for the left-hand side is what the length is for. So variance number 3, just to confirm, I wanted to reduce that to 22.76. Variance number 4 is nothing to do with anything. It's just the way in which they've calculated the depth of the building based on the angle of the front. It's not reflective. The way that I would, if you, and I'll finish up really quickly. If you deem this application to be appropriate for the site, we could be tied to plans on this because that won't really change. Nothing about this site plan will change because it's happening below ground. The one thing I would like to mention, if you look at the, there's a map that we brought out. I looked at the whole area. This lot is I think it's the second largest lot of the area. The depth of the lot is at 217 feet on the right-hand side and 183 on the right-hand side. So it's a very long lot. But the length standard that they're applying is for lots under 18 meters of width. And this is over 18 meters, but we have to comply with what the bylaw says in terms of their required building depth and length. So I feel like with the length of the lot that it is, we're not providing any hardship. There's no coverage variance before you. It's just simply an additional length to allow for us to ramp down the house as we were planning to do. And again, this is all an engineered system to make sure that we meet the requirements of sloping and do it properly. And it's all internal, but it's only for that portion. So if the community deemed this to be viable, you could tie it to plans to the site.
Okay, Mr. Rovinov, I ask you to summarize, please.
Actually, that was it. I just wanted to make my points about how it's calculated and leave it with you.
Okay, so the only change you're making here, number 3, you're changing it to 22.76, and number
That's
4,
correct.
you just explained it. You're not making any changes to 4. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so no other change. All right,
No.
so let's see what the members are saying. Any question for the speaker? No question? Okay, can I have a motion then, please? And Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I've listened to the agent in depth and I've reviewed this application, and I do believe that the explanations provided by the agent is satisfactory for me. And especially with the change made to number 3 by the agent here today, I feel that this application to me will meet the 4 tests. So I will motion to approve this application. And I accept the explanation for number 4. So I will not make it subject to staff recommendations, but I will make it subject to the forestry report and forestry services. And in terms of the transportation, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to pull up.
Yeah, there's just condition.
Right.
Driveway width and notation on the plan.
Right, and so that's the October 27th transportation
Yeah.
report, and to make it subject to those conditions.
Okay, and you mentioned the change of number 3 to 22.76, right?
That's right.
Thank you.
And
Okay. Anything else?
Can I have a friendly amendment?
Go ahead,
Mr.
please.
Chair? Can we also tie to site plan so that the site plan also explain why we accept the other variance?
When you say a
Because I
site
think
plan,
also
if he changes,
the site
If he
Huh?
changes the
The
width,
site plan won't,
the site plan wouldn't work if he changes the length.
it does work. The site plan wouldn't change because it's stuff happening in the basement effectively.
Okay.
And so it shouldn't have any impact.
So, Miss Attarodi, you want to attach it to site plan, right?
If Mrs. Sankar accepted.
I'll accept.
Okay,
Okay.
then I'll second the motion. I second it.
So, Miss Attarodi seconding. Any favor? Okay. Sir, your application is approved unanimously, subject to the change you made and subject to the transportation and subject to site plan.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay. Number 11, which is 69 Center Avenue. And here 11, we have Mr. Zanjani, Sia Janjani. Sorry, Sia Janjani.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Hi.
Can you please state your name and address for us?
Yes, Sia Zanjani, 15 Allstate Parkway, and I'm from Zanjani Architecting.
Okay. So we have here the new dwelling, 5 variances, and there is the changes, revised and changes for the mentioned in the staff report. Could you please go over? I don't want to mention them, but you tell us what you want to change them to, and give us a 5-minute presentation. Include those changes that you want to make.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll try to be quicker than 5 minutes. So we're making some improvements to the application. I'll just mention them one by one. So variance number 1 is going to change from 35.7 to 32.00%. So that's the first change. Variance number 2 is going to be deleted. We now comply with the east side yard setback, so therefore that variance is no longer needed. Variance number 3 has to do with the west side yard setback. That's also going to be deleted. We now comply with that as well, so no variance needed for that. And variances number 4 and 5 stay unchanged. No changes to 4 and 5.
Okay. That's it.
There's need a presentation. I'll be more that's all in terms of changes. If there's a presentation needed, I'll be more than happy to present the application.
Well, if that's what you finish with it looks great. It looks complete. You're changing from 1 to So the 135 became 3200. Better than what it said in the report. Okay. So members, any question? No? Can I have a motion then, please? Ms. Tarodi?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I would like to accept and approve this application with the following changes. Variance number 1, the proposed lot coverage is now 32%. Variance number 2 and 3 eliminated, and with no other conditions.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Klassen seconding. All in favor? Okay, thank you. So your application is approved based on those changes you made.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Number 20. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, we're on item number 16, 16.
16, yeah. 18 was eliminated. 16, 17, okay. Application number 16, which is 10 Pote Avenue, application number 16. And here, what do we have? We have, Tom Sprague, are you there, please?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, could you please just state your name and address for us?
Yes, it's Tom Sprague, and the company name is Sprague and Company Architects, and we're located at 156 Duncan Mill Road here in Toronto.
Okay, this looks we have just three variances. I don't have too much here, but we have a gentleman here who wants to
Mr.
speak.
Chair, as a reminder, Lutz
Yeah.
Fulgraf is not on the
Oh,
call
he's
at this
not.
time.
Okay, all right. We had one more speaker registered here, but he's no longer here. The moderator tell me that he's not here, so all we have here is a rear second story with the three variances. Members, do we need a presentation here?
I'll just be very brief if you'd like me to give a
just
quick
second.
overview.
Could you please hold a second? I'm
Okay.
just asking the members. Do we need a presentation? Yeah. Okay. So could you please give us a small presentation about what you're about to do here?
Yes, no, I will do that, and I'll be very brief.
Thank you.
As a bit of background to this application, the owners have lived in their home now since 2006, so 15 years, and they do require now additional living space for their family. So what they'd like to do is to build on top of an existing rear one-story addition, to build a second story that would line up with the outside walls of the first floor. The existing walls, we want to just continue up the same line as what presently exists. And that really is the reason for the first two side yard setback variances, 1 and 2. It's really reflecting the existing situation of the house as it is right now. And the third variance has to do with the GFI, which certainly there's some very, very large homes in the area. So this is, in my opinion, very much in keeping with the scale of other homes in the area. Neighbors are all supportive, so I've been told, and in my opinion, this is a good improvement to the property and certainly reasonable and, in my opinion, minor.
Okay. Any question? Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Bartolo? Mr. Bartolo, go ahead, please. We don't hear you. Mr. Bartolo, you wanted to make a motion? We don't hear you.
Mr. Chair, perhaps I can make a motion.
Would you like to make a motion?
If that's agreeable.
How's that? Sorry about that.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Mr.
Apologize. Yeah.
Mr. Bartolo is on, and he was the first one. So go ahead, please.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So given that the applicant is making an addition to the house and the exterior walls are essentially a vertical continuation of it, and the setbacks are really not changing from what's there, I'm going to put forward a motion to approve this application.
Thank you. Second? Mr. Klassen, all in favor? Okay, sir, your application is approved and there is no conditions. Application number 17, which is Raed Al-Rawi. Application number 17, which is 625 Goldstream Avenue, and the agent Raed Al-Rawi. Are you there?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
Good afternoon.
This is Raed Rawi. This is Raed Rawi from Professional Floor Plans, 5147 Preservation Circle, Mississauga, Ontario, L5M74.
Thank you. So we have one more speaker here on this application. Therefore, we need a short presentation. If you'd like to make,
I think the other speaker may be the owner of the property. Just make sure so that we don't waste your time.
No, we have here a resident. It said Ronnie Strauss.
Ronnie Strauss. Yes, he's the owner.
Oh, he's the owner. Is here? Is Mr. Ronnie Strauss is there? He's registered to speak, so we have to find out if he wants to speak.
Mr. Chair, let's stick with the agent for now.
Well, yeah.
And if we have any concerns from
No, I want to know if Mr. Strauss is here, because if he's not here, we might.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Strauss is present on the call.
He's present.
Correct.
Okay. So, Mr. Rawi, do you want to speak, or Mr. Strauss is going to speak?
No, I will speak for the presentation. He's
Okay.
here if in case we have any issues.
Okay, please.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll keep it brief. It's a small minor variance for the coverage only. We have exceeded the coverage per zoning bylaw because of the deck, and the client is adding an outdoor pergola and a small shed. So the combined coverage exceeds what the zoning bylaw requires. And as it's a corner lot, there are also variances related to the lot line. We talked to the planning staff and explained to them it's a technical matter that the deck is already the same level of the first floor, but because of its size, it's added to the coverage. So the overall actual coverage we are asking is less than 10%, which is the rear yard covered outdoor area and rear yard storage shed. Both of them will present 4.4% additional coverage. But as we added the rear yard deck, because it's extend over the pool size, we had a larger value. So the numbers might look bigger than what is actually the case. We don't have any issues with the trees. We aren't having any issues with the neighbors. And we have 4 supporting letters from the neighbors. And the client already approached and reached out to the neighbors, and he explained the whole thing for them. I'm ready for any questions.
Thank you. Yeah, we have 4 letters of support. And so does Mr. Strauss want to add something, or that's it? He's not there, is he?
He's there. I think he's
Doesn't
done.
speak. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we can just go forward
Okay.
and ask the members.
All right. So the owner is not speaking. So the presentation is there. There is 2 variances and 4 letters of support. Members, any question? Can I have a motion there, please? So who wants to make a motion?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is minor, and there's obvious support from the neighbors. It does meet the 4 tests. I'd like to move to approve this application.
Thank you. Second, Ms. Sankar, all in favor? Okay. Sir, your application is unanimously approved and there is no conditions, okay?
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, we're on item number 21 now. Correct. Item number 20 was deferred.
Item 21, which is 300 Eglinton Avenue West. And here we have 21. Okay, here we have Peter Gross. Peter Gross, are you there?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Peter Gross, and my address is 66 Wellington Street West, Suite 4100, Toronto, and I am counsel to the owner of the property.
Thank you. We have 2 more speakers here for this application, and therefore we need you to make a presentation, please, as to the merit of your application, so we can hear them what they have to say. You have 5 minutes for the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Once again, good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. This proposal involves the renovation of an existing building, including a rear 2-story addition and a new 3rd story and interior alterations. Once constructed, the ground floor will be occupied by an eating establishment. The 2nd floor will be converted from 1 residential unit to office space, and the new 3rd story addition will include 2 new residential units. The required variances relate to 2 elements. The first variance is related to parking. The required number of parking spaces is 3, whereas the proposal will have 0. A parking study was prepared by CGH Transportation in support of the application, and the study concluded that with the existing and proposed transit and cycling infrastructure in the area, along with the surrounding built form and proposed traffic demand management measures, the proposed development should be approved. We note that there were no comments or objections from the Transportation Department. Second variance is a result of a heritage planning requirement related to additions concerning existing heritage buildings, which requires that the proposed third story be set back from the street to allow for the existing heritage building facade to be more prominent and visible to the public realm. Since the existing heritage building is currently 2 stories in height, its third story must be set back, resulting in a platform which creates zoning noncompliance and the need for the second variance. In our view, the 2 variances meet the 4-part test under the Planning Act. Subject property is located within a mixed-use area along an avenue in a walkable community with access to surface transit and fronts on the future Eglinton LRT corridor. This supports the reduction of parking, and the proposed renovations preserve the heritage facade and maintain its prominence in the public realm. Both proposed variances maintain the intent and purpose of the official plan. The variances also maintain the general intent of the zoning bylaw. The intent of the parking requirements is to ensure sufficient parking on the property for the users. Given the walkable area, the transit, and vehicular parking is not necessary on the site. This is supported by our parking study, and there are no objections again raised by Transportation Services. Since the building is 2 stories, the third level must be set back, and this results in the platform which creates the zoning non-compliance. However, it does continue to meet the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. Variances are desirable for the appropriate development of the land, as they allow the expansion of the existing development and the addition of 1 residential unit while preserving the heritage features of the building. Proposal is appropriate in terms of height, massing, and built form, and supports the creation of a compact and transit supportive community. There are no impacts on the surrounding land uses or neighborhoods. The third floor platform will not result in any negative impacts to the public realm, and the parking reduction is minor in nature. In our view, the variances do meet the forecast. Staff have raised no concerns. We did reach out to the neighbors in advance of the hearing, and we did not receive any written comments from them, although I do understand that they may have comments they wish to raise now, and I will respond to those if the chair permits me at the conclusion of their presentations. That concludes my comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We'll hear them and we'll bring you back to address if they have any concerns. In the meantime, you said the transportation is okay. I don't know if you saw the transportation report dated October 28, and they list a number of concerns, and they said Transportation Services recommend a deferral of the minor variance application to allow the applicant sufficient time to address the concerns. Did you see that report?
No, Mr. Chair, obviously, I must apologize. I did not see that, nor was it sent to us. We made several inquiries to the planning department as late as yesterday. We have checked the city's development portal website as late as this morning, and we have no knowledge of this. Obviously, I would not have made that submission had we been made aware or had our emails been responded to, inquiring if there were any comments. So I apologize to the committee.
What you say is after this report, you did meet them and they had no concern?
I'm sorry, sir, could you repeat the question?
Do you understand that after this report, you did have conversations with them and you think they had no concern?
I have not seen the report,
No.
so I can't even tell you whether the conversations happened before or after the report, because I'm not aware when the report was published or written. I apologize, sir.
Okay. Unfortunately, the technical here cannot, sorry? No, he can't. He doesn't find, oh, here it is. Huh? You found it? Okay, they just found it. Okay, here it is. If you like to take a look at it. Go to the recommendation.
Mr.
Hold a second, please.
Yeah, I do see it. In light of the fact that we weren't presented with this, I wonder if it's possible to defer this to the next committee meeting. I think we're going to have no choice. I'm going to have to bring it obviously to my client. And I sincerely apologize to the committee. Had we been provided with this, we certainly would have dealt with it in due course, but could we be put onto the next agenda?
Yeah, okay, thanks for that comment, because you're right, it came late. I just happened to see it. It came in October 28th, so we appreciate you knowing that it wasn't there. So I'm sure you didn't see it because it just came up on the 28th. So let me just see the other people, what they have to say. And we'll take a motion, maybe as you suggested. We'll see what the members are saying. Kelly O'Hanlon, are you there?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
O'Hanlon, and I'm representing.
Excuse me.
An urban
Excuse me.
planner.
Excuse me. Could you please state your name and address for us?
Kelly O'Hanlon. I'm representing the neighbor on the west at 302 Eglinton Avenue West.
Thank you. And you heard what's happening. We were going ahead with the application, but then there is a question of deferral. Now the agent is asking for deferral, and we have to make a decision. If we decide to defer it, we will not discuss it today. You heard that. You're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we have to check with the staff, or you'll be advised when it's coming back. Nancy Khalad, are you there?
Mr. Chair and members, Nancy is not on the call at this time.
Is not on the call. Okay, so we have a request for deferral, and members, any question? There is a question. There's a member for deferral for the agent to address the concerns of the transportation. Can I have a motion? I had two of them. Okay, Ms. Sankara, Mr. Bartolo. Mr. Bartolo, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Given the new information that's being presented to the applicant here that they were unaware of and the short time notice and no objections from the other parties, I'll put forward a motion to defer this application sine die to allow them to address that report.
Thank you. Second, Ms. Sankara, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, sir, your application is deferred sine die. As you know, when we say sine die, we have no control on the scheduling of it. We cannot schedule it for the next hearing. You'll have to check with the staff when it's coming back, okay?
I understand, Mr. Chair. And again, I apologize to the committee for spending your time.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
It was not intentional.
Thank you. We appreciate it, really, the comment. Thanks. Uh, 22, right? Okay. Application 22, which is 83 Glen Grove Avenue, application number 22. And here we have just one person who's the agent, and that's Joe Dom. Joe Dom, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Can you please repeat your name and address for us? For the record.
Yes. Hi, my name is Joe Dome, 1101 Steeles Avenue West, agent for the owner.
Thank you. So we have here a new one story, one variance only, and we have a letter of support. Members, do we need a presentation? No? Okay, sir, we don't need a presentation. Unless you want to say something else, we can move on to the decision.
Yes, if you don't require a presentation, I'm okay moving forward.
Thank you. So, members, any question? If not, can I have a motion, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I think that, the application is self-explanatory and I understand the application, so I do believe it will meet the 4 tests. And for that reason, I'll put forward a motion to approve this application as is.
Thank you. Second? Ms. Satarodi, all in favor? Okay. Sir, your application is approved unanimously with no conditions.
Thank you very much.
And that terminates our morning session and we'll resume. We'll resume around 1:30 back, okay? This is